after for some insight. This morning, our guest speaker will enlighten us on a trending topic, the two-pot retirement system. South Africa's retirement savings system is changing, with the implementation date of the new system set for the 1st of September 2024. All current and future retirement fund members will be impacted by the change, so it is important to familiarize yourself with the new structure. To empower you to navigate the transition with ease, Kiabetswe aims to simplify and explain the intention and process of the two-pot system and quiet any confusion. Our guest speaker today, Kiabetswe, is a retirement benefit counselor at Infund Solutions. She holds a Bachelor of Commerce in Accounting and a postgraduate diploma in financial planning. She is also a certified financial planner and a member of the Financial Planning Institute of Southern Africa, and has over half a decade of industry experience in financial planning, wealth management, and employee benefit administration. Outside of work, Kia enjoys adrenaline-fueled outdoor adventures and event planning for friends and family. When she is not being an extrovert, Kia delights in reading African fiction novels. Thank you, Kia, and welcome.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Aya, for such a pleasant introduction. As mentioned, I'm Kiabetswe, and a warm welcome to you all for joining today's PURCO Ponder series. Today, we'll be talking about the new two-pot retirement system that will come into effect on the 1st of September 2024. Now, two-pot is quite topical at the moment, and in some cases, misinformation has caused a lot of panic and anxiety and confusion. Now, to help break this down, this morning I will be covering this topic at a high level. On the agenda today, we'll start off with the realities of South Africa's retirement outlook. We'll also get into how two-pot will work. I'll also take you through an example and explain how the tax implications will be calculated, and we'll have a question and answer session right at the end. So I'll try to stick within the time so that we have plenty of time to go through the questions. Now, it is a known fact that only 6% of South Africans are able to retire comfortably at age 65. This means that 94% of retirees are unable to maintain their current lifestyle at retirement. Further to that, according to the latest 10X Investments Retirement Reality Report, an alarming 46% of the people surveyed do not have a retirement plan in place. 23% of the people have a plan, but such a plan is uncertain. However, to the contrary, only 23% of the people have a good idea of what their retirement savings objectives are, and only 8% of the people have a retirement plan in place that is consistently reviewed and being followed. Now, majority of people thought two-pot would give them access to a lot of money, settle mortgage bonds, go on holiday, etc. Unfortunately, I'm here to disappoint you today because it's not going to be a lot of money, not in the short term anyway. The true intention of two-pot is the preservation of your retirement savings while also allowing you access to a portion of your savings during your working years. So why has National Treasury made these changes to retirement fund rules? Firstly, it's to increase the amount of money you will retire on someday. The second reason is that most times when people are financially distressed and have no other monies to turn to, they resign from employment, and instead of withdrawing only what they need, they cash out their entire fund benefit. And so, to assist retirement fund members in the event of financial emergencies, a savings component is now made available for access. So if you're already a member of a retirement fund, you will have 3 pots known as the vested pot, the retirement pot, and the savings pot. Now, the vested pot is all the monies that you would have accumulated before the 1st of September 2024. The retirement pot will comprise of 2/3 of your new monthly contributions from the 1st of September 2024. And the savings pot is where 1/3 of your new monthly contributions will be allocated to. From the vested pot, your retirement fund will calculate 10% of your vested pot that will be transferred to the savings pot as an opening balance. This is known as the seed capital. The seed capital is capped at 30,000 Rand. That means not everyone will have 30,000 Rand on the day 2pot goes live. Others may have less. It solely depends on how much you have in your vested pot as of the 1st of September 2024. Now, just to also show you an example is that if someone on the 1st of September 2024 has 100,000 in their vested pot, the fund will calculate 10% of 100,000, and that's equivalent to 10,000. So only 10,000 will get transferred into the new savings pot as an opening balance. Now you may have someone who has 2 million on the 1st of September 2024, and 10% of 2 million is equivalent to 200,000. However, legislation caps this at 30,000. So for that particular member, only 30,000 gets transferred into the savings pot as an opening balance. And in your vested pot going forward, no new contributions will go in there. Further to that, no withdrawals will be allowed except in the event of resignation or at retirement. But as it stands, the money that will be sitting in your vested pot will not be enrolled into 2pot. Means that the current existing rules of your retirement fund will apply to you at resignation or retirement in future. And this is only pertaining to your vested pot money. And going forward with the retirement pot, this pot of money cannot be accessed before or even at retirement in cash as a lump sum. So the entire amount that would have accumulated in there must be utilized to buy you a monthly pension when you go on retirement. So even when you resign, the money sitting in the retirement pot will not be accessible until it's time to go on retirement, and for which must be utilized to buy a monthly pension. And the money sitting in your savings pot is what can be accessed once every tax year. So while you are still working and employed and are a member of a retirement fund, you will be allowed to withdraw from the savings pot once every tax year. The minimum withdrawal amount is 2,000 Rand. So if you have less than 2,000 Rand sitting in your savings pot, you will not be allowed to withdraw. But most importantly, any withdrawals that you'll be making from your savings pot will be taxed at your marginal income tax rate. And just another feature to the savings pot is if you would like to protect yourself from yourself, you can transfer all or part of your monies sitting in your savings pot into your retirement pot to steer away from temptation. However, bear in mind that whatever money sits in your retirement pot can no longer be accessed in cash as a lump sum. Just to take you through an example, we have John, who is a retirement fund member who on the 1st of September 2024 has a fund balance of 1.8 million. John also contributes 4,500 Rand a month towards his retirement investment. That means on the 1st of September 2024, John's vested pot is at 1.8 million. Therefore, John's retirement fund will calculate what his seed capital will be. But because John's seed capital exceeds the cap that is set at 30,000 Rand, only 30,000 Rand gets transferred into John's savings pot as an opening balance. And going forward, 1/3 of his 4,500 Rand per month, which is equivalent to 1,500, will be allocated to this savings pot on a monthly basis. And in John's retirement pot, 2/3 of his 4,500, which is equivalent to 3,000 Rand, will be going into the retirement pot on a monthly basis. So as of the 1st of September, John will only have the seed capital available to withdraw, and which will be subject to tax at marginal income tax rates. With this next example, I want to stress that the seed capital that would have come from the vested pot on the 1st of September 2024 is not going anywhere. Some members may think if they don't withdraw in September, the money disappears. This is not the case. If John decided not to make any withdrawal in the next 5 years following the two-pot system, and assuming that his investment would grow by 9% per year, John's vested pot would have grown to over 2.7 million. His retirement pot would have been at over 174,000 Rand based off all the contributions accumulated from the 1st of September to September 2029. And in the savings pot, John will have a total of over 177,000 sitting in his savings pot, for which he could withdraw up to 100% of the amount or an amount less. It would be completely up to him. So this is just to illustrate that the money is not going anywhere on the 1st of September. Instead, it is a change in structure in how your contributions going forward will be allocated. So when you preserve your monies for a certain period, it grows and you'll have access to more. And that is why I said in the beginning, two-pot is not going to give you a lot of money. Now, 15 years later, also assuming an investment growth of 9% per year, John's vested pot that was initially at 1.7 million is now at 6.4 million. And also assuming that his contributions to his retirement pot and savings pot over a 15-year period have increased by 6%, his retirement pot would have a balance of over 1 million Rand, and his savings pot with a balance of over 900,000 Rand. It is important to note that any withdrawals that you make from your savings pot will be taxed at your marginal income tax rate. Your marginal tax rate is dependent on the total income you earn per year. Your retirement fund administrator may also charge a transaction fee for processing your withdrawal. This cost is unique to your specific retirement fund. So say John's salary is 25,000 Rand a month. That is equivalent to a total income per year of 300,000. And according to the income tax rate, John's marginal rate is 26%. So if John withdraws his 30,000 on the 1st of September 2024, he will pay 26% in tax to SARS. So John will therefore net an amount of 22,000 Rand 200. And this is also the amount before any transaction fee is levied. So depending on how much you earn is the rate that you will pay on a withdrawal that you make from the savings pot going forward. Now, accessing a portion of your retirement savings under the two-pot system is a very costly way of getting money. When you make a savings pot withdrawal, as previously explained, it is taxed at your marginal rate, which is significantly higher than the tax implications levied when you resign or go on retirement. Because at resignation, you will be entitled to withdraw whatever is in your vested pot and your savings pot, subject to tax according to the withdrawal tax table. The withdrawal tax table allows a tax-free withdrawal on the first 27,500. And at retirement, depending on the rules of your retirement fund, you may be entitled to access a portion of what is in your vested pot and your savings pot, subject to tax according to the retirement tax table. This is where up to 550,000 Rand of your benefit is tax-free. However, I wish to highlight that any previous retirement lump sum withdrawals you've made at resignation or at retrenchment will affect your tax-free amount. But a savings pot withdrawal that is not from a resignation or retirement does not affect your tax-free limits. So from this, we can see when you are accessing your monies prematurely through or under the two-pot system, the tax implications are dire and more significant. Unlike when you go on retirement, where whatever would be sitting in your savings pot and a portion of whatever may be in your vested pot is what you can access, up to 550,000 Rand that you can access without paying any tax. So it's debatable on the legislation being introduced to say, here's this pot of money you can access when you're in financial distress. However, it is quite costly for you to withdraw, and members should always consider making other means to raise capital in order to fund short-term needs. Now, what are some of the things you need to take into consideration is that members of a provident fund who were 55 years or older on the 1st of March 2021 and are still a member of that same provident fund can opt out of the two-pot system. So your fund administrator will notify you on the process to opt out. But bear in mind that each retirement fund is different and follows its own processing timelines. Certain steps will have to take place before the ability to withdraw goes live. For example, all withdrawal requests have to be approved by SARS through a directive process. In addition, withdrawals will undergo bank verification to protect against fraudulent claims. So in the meantime, start engaging with your retirement fund administrators. With the effective date less than 2 months away, it is important to seek clarity and not go by what colleagues or friends or neighbors are saying. And in closing, my message today is not to discourage you against premature access to your retirement savings. Instead, it is to promote that preservation is key in ensuring that financial relief today does not compromise your financial security in future. Thank you, everyone. That concludes my presentation today. I'm happy to take questions if there are any in the room. And over to you, Aya.
Thank you so much, Gia. Colleagues, will now commence with the question and answer session. Please leave any questions that you have for our speaker in the chat box and I'll field those to her. So, Gia, I have one question. Hi, Gia, and thank you. What will happen to all the pots should I pass away before retirement age?
All right. So when you pass away, any money sitting in a retirement fund is available for distribution to your beneficiaries. And the distribution happens according to what is called Section 37C of the Pension Fund Act, where the Board of Trustees of your particular retirement fund has to ensure that all your legal and financial dependents receive the benefit. So all the monies in all the pots is made available for distribution in the event of death.
Okay, so another question is, so since you can only withdraw once a year, is it always capped at 30,000 or 30,000 is a once-off cap?
So the 30,000, remember, firstly, is not everyone will have 30,000.
Yeah.
So as a once off, 30,000 comes from your vested pot. So from your current monies, it goes into your savings pot. And if you withdraw on the 1st of September, it means you'll have zero. The first contribution has to go in. That's the 1/3. So if in John's instance, as I made in the example, his 1/3 contribution is a 1,500. So 1,500 Rand every month will accumulate in the savings pot. So you have to wait another year before you can withdraw. Then whatever is in your savings pot is what you can withdraw. So if it's 1,500 times 12 months plus any investment growth, that is up to the amount that you can access in your savings pot. The 30,000 is only for the seed capital that gets transferred into your savings pot.
Thank you, Kia. The next question is, with the split of funds, how is it going to affect the growth of your fund?
Now, this is very debatable and it's unique to each retirement fund. So a lot of retirement funds, especially employer-provided ones, are or have a default investment strategy. So the idea for you is that you are saving for retirement and it's considered a long-term investment. Therefore, technically, you should be investing more aggressively to accumulate as much growth as possible as you have a longer investment period. But taking into account that now this savings portion has to be made available to you, there is some debate on whether it should be invested aggressively or should be invested in money market funds where the volatility in the investment portfolio is not seen in order for you to access money. So we don't want your money to be increasing and decreasing, whereas a need for you to withdraw may come up. So each retirement fund will communicate what that strategy is. And if you have any personal retirement annuity funds, you can also engage further with your financial advisor to sit with you and discuss when are you anticipating to get access, because your period of access has to coincide with your investment period.
Thank you, Kia. The next question is, in case of passing away before retirement, the tax laws still applies.
Yes. So your benefit, the entire amount at death, at date of death, is available for distribution to your beneficiaries, and the amount is still taxed in the hands of the recipient or the beneficiary of the benefit.
Okay. Nabisa is asking, hello and thank you guys. Asking this question on behalf of my mom, who is a pensioner, but never withdrew her pensions, instead opted for monthly payments through GEPF. Will the pot system apply to her at all? Can she withdraw some from her savings, or is this not applicable to her at all?
So pensioners are not going to be enrolled in the two-pot system. So in your mother's case, she will not have the option to withdraw at all.
Sorry, Nonkululeko, the session is being recorded and the webinar will be up on our PURCO SA website. I will share via email as well as on our social media. Okay, there's another question. Since you can only withdraw once every tax year, can we do it anytime in the year?
That is correct. So legislation is yet to still come forth and say, currently as it stands, the 1st of September is already within a tax year. So technically, if someone starts to make a withdrawal from September, it falls within this current tax year. And the new tax year will begin on March next year. So there is that clarity that we are yet to get in the industry. But essentially, as it stands, you have to wait a 12-month period before you can make another withdrawal.
Another question is, can you transfer funds from the savings pot to the vested pot should you not want to withdraw from the savings pot at all?
Unfortunately not. You can only transfer what's in your savings pot into your retirement pot. And the reverse also cannot happen. So you can't transfer what's in your retirement pot into your savings pot. So it will only work with whatever is liquid is what you can lock in into your retirement pot.
Thank you so much, Kia. I don't see any more questions in the chat box. I'll do the lucky draw for now, and then I'll go back if we still have any questions, because we do still have about 15 minutes of the session left. So colleagues, I'll now commence with the lucky prize draw for 1,000 Rand Take a Lot voucher. And I have a winner, Masindi Chivase, assistant at Lumacon. Congratulations, Masindi. A Take a Lot voucher will make its way to you shortly. Okay, so there are a couple of questions that came in here. Just to clarify, if I want to resign, this will not impact my vested amount.
Yes, so even if you resign now or you resign in future, your vested amount does not get enrolled into two-pot. The same rules as they are currently will apply even if you resign at a future date.
Okay, and then we have another question here. What is the retirement age deemed to be in South Africa?
So the normal retirement age in South Africa is age 55. But for some people, they may have to refer to the rules of their retirement fund. If you belong to an employer-specific retirement fund, I've heard of people in their rules having a retirement age of 50. So if you belong to an employer retirement fund, best to make sure you know what is the earliest possible you can retire. But legally in South Africa, the retirement age is 55.
Okay, thank you so much, Gaia. I don't see any more questions in the chat box. Okay, we have one. Please clarify between the capped 30K amount and the accumulated amount in the savings pot. Can you withdraw all of your money in the savings pot?
Okay, so that's similar to the question we had earlier, is that in the beginning, if someone has 100,000 Rand in their vested pot, so that's the amount they've accumulated before two-pot goes live. Say that person has 100,000 Rand in their vested pot. The fund calculates 10% of that amount. 10% of 100,000 is 10,000 Rand. So only 10,000 Rand gets transferred into the savings pot, and that 10,000 Rand is accessible from day one of two-pot going live. And that's the only amount of money you will have in there. But going forward, say your contributions to your retirement fund are 4,500. It means 1,500 will top up into your savings pot. And once a year, you can withdraw whatever is in your savings pot. So if you are someone who's withdrawing that 10,000 Rand on the 1st of September 2024, you'll have to wait for a 12-month cycle before you can withdraw again. And then whatever is sitting in your savings pot at that point in time is what you can withdraw fully. You can decide you will withdraw the entire amount or withdraw an amount less. It's completely up to you.
Okay. Another question that we have is, when do we get to make withdrawal on the two-pot system? And what happens when you have resigned and still waiting for the payout? Can this money be used as part of the two-pot withdrawal or investment?
So there are two aspects to your question. So if you are currently processing a resignation, that it does not follow the timelines of a two-pot. So that will be processed according to the timelines of your specific retirement fund. But in terms of two-pot going live, as I mentioned, there are certain processes that still need to be put in place. So for now is to hang tight and listen in on the communication provided by your various retirement funds on how the process to withdraw will happen. Where I'm from or where I work, they've already contacted the members to let them know that everything will be done online. So in the meantime, members can start logging in and registering online. However, the functionality to start withdrawing cannot happen until the 1st of September, which is the day the calculation of 10%, your seed capital, will be made. So just two separate things is that if you already have a resignation in place, that will go according to the timelines provided by your retirement fund administrator.
Sorry, some questions may be repetitive, but they asked in a different way. If I resign before the 1st of September 2024, am I allowed to take all of my money? Sorry if you have talked about this.
No worries at all. So if you want to resign before the 1st of September 2024, your vested pot, the money that you've currently built from the day you joined that retirement fund up until the point of resignation, that money is still available to you. So I know there's a lot of confusion where members are frantic, wanting to resign, thinking that their money is going to be taken away from them. Remember, the money that you would have accumulated from the day you joined, from before two-pot goes live, is not going to be enrolled in the two-pot system. So should you decide to resign or retire after the 1st of September 2024, the same rules as they are currently will apply. So that pot of money remains unaffected, and whatever options you have currently will be available to you at a future date. Two-pot is only opening up leeway for you to have your monthly contributions going forward be split in such a way that you will start having access to some of your savings. I hope that also brings clarity there.
Yeah. Chris is asking, why has the two-pot retirement system been introduced?
The two-pot is being introduced to ensure that there's a compulsory set of money that you will utilize to buy you a monthly pension when you go on retirement. When people resign, they often cash their entire benefit and soon later create an even worse problem when they are unable to find work, where they are now relying on state pension to fund them. And in that way, we will never get to a point where even our tax or our take home is reduced, purely because there's such a burden on the state to provide people who belong to retirement funds before but cash their retirement fund benefit due to financial distress. Okay. The second part to the reason is that should you come across any financial difficulties, like there's absolutely no other monies that you can turn to, there is a set of money sitting in your savings pot that will be available for you to withdraw from. So that's the two most important reasons, is that a part of it is to preserve so that at a future date, you will have money to retire on. And secondly, to ensure that should a need arise for you to withdraw out of a financial difficulty, you have the monies in your savings pot to access.
Thank you. So if my savings pot is never used and it builds up to, for example, 60,000 Rand after a period of years, can I take it all?
Yes, you can take it all.
Next question is, what happens if you have a pension fund at work and have a retirement annuity, an RA on your private capacity? Can you access all these during the two-pot system?
That is an excellent question. So if you belong to more than one retirement fund, two-pot will apply separately to each retirement fund. So the exercise that is done with two-pot with your employer pension fund is the same exercise that will happen with your retirement annuity in your personal capacity. So the fund will calculate, your pension fund will calculate the seed capital, and your contributions going forward are split into the two pots. Same applies to your personal retirement annuity that you may have, where you will also have access to that money. So if it turns out on the 1st of September, you have 30,000 in your employer pension fund, and you also have another 30,000 sitting with your private retirement annuity, then you can make withdrawals from both.
Thank you. Another question is, can I make extra deposits into the savings pot?
Unfortunately not. In an ideal world, that would be the case. So your entire contributions are lumped up or are summed up and are split 1/3, 2/3. So if you want to top up an extra 1,000 Rand already where you have been contributing 2,000 Rand, the total of 3,000 gets split. So you don't get to specifically put an amount into the savings pot.
Okay, there's a couple more left. So, will the normal processes that pension fund administrators have in place to ensure your money in both pots will have the same kind of interest is accrued to your two pots? Okay, let me ask the question again. Will the normal processes that pension fund administrators have in place to ensure your money in both pots will have the same kind of interest is accrued to your two pots as in the past?
So each retirement fund will have to now change and develop their own investment strategy. Remember, money sitting in your savings pot cannot be subject to high volatility as all your other monies. All your other monies you are aiming to access at retirement stage. So that can be 10, 15 years from now. Whereas money sitting in your savings pot is what you can access next month. So you can't stomach the volatility in the short term. So the fund administrators may have to implement a slightly different investment strategy put in place in order to have this money sitting in the savings pot grow differently than what grows in the retirement pot. So essentially, the money that sits in your savings pot will not necessarily grow as aggressively as the money sitting in your retirement or your vested pot, purely because they just putting it aside for you should there be a need. So you don't want your monies increasing and decreasing where there could be a need for you to dip into it.
Okay, colleagues, we have about 7 minutes left of the session, so I'll take the last couple of questions. At retirement age, is it an option to receive a lump sum or is it strictly monthly payments?
So it depends on the type of retirement fund you belong to. So if you were someone who was 55 on the 1st of March 2021 and you belong to a provident fund, so in future, when you go on retirement, you'll have the choice to access what's in your vested pot 100% in cash. But whatever would have accumulated in your retirement pot, that money must be utilized to buy you a monthly pension. And then whatever sits in your savings pot is what you can withdraw. Alternatively, you can also use that money to also buy you a monthly pension. But that was in the case if you were a Provident Fund member. But if you were a pension fund member, when you go on retirement, your vested pot pot, you will have access to 1/3 of it in cash, and the remaining 2/3 must be utilized to buy you a monthly pension. In the same light, whatever's in your retirement pot must be utilized to buy you a monthly pension, and whatever's sitting in your savings pot is what you can access in cash if you have anything at that point. So going forward, the landscape is that you will have 3 pots, and these 3 different pots will work differently and have restrictions in terms of what you can do when you get to retirement. So it will depend at the time of your retirement, what type of retirement fund you belong to in order to ascertain what you can and cannot do with the vested pot. But going forward is straightforward that whatever's in your retirement pot must be used for monthly pension, and whatever's in your savings pot is what you can then withdraw if you would like to.
Okay, so Hazel has 4 questions that I'll go through quickly. When making a withdrawal, does one have to state what the withdrawal is for, and how long does it take to receive the withdrawal with the withdrawn funds once it is active on the 1st of September?
Okay. So when you are making a withdrawal, your retirement fund administrator will most likely have a platform where you are able to see. So it's like you open up your bank app, you see what's in your current account, you see what's in your investment account. So all these different components will be there. So you'll have a view of whatever is in your savings pot available for you to withdraw at that point in time. Now, in terms of the withdrawal timelines, I cannot give you an answer purely because this will be different for each retirement fund. So there's bank verification processes. How do retirement funds protect against fraudulent claims? How do they protect you and cybersecurity? There's a lot of links and emails going around for processing payments. So retirement funds still have a lot of work to do in order to ensure that when the ability to withdraw goes live, that all systems are put in place, and the timelines may vary by retirement fund.
So her questions go on to ask, what happens when you do not wish to withdraw the fund until you retire? And what does to buy retirement mean? Will the funds be made available to us at a cost, or does it mean that we will be paid on a monthly fee to live on?
Okay, so should you decide that you are not going to withdraw whatever is in your savings pot, at retirement stage, you can decide you will withdraw a portion of whatever's in your savings pot, alternatively transfer it into the retirement pot where it will be converted into where you'll start earning a monthly pension from it. So purely by going on retirement, and when you get to retirement stage, the tax penalties are a lot more lenient because it uses the retirement tax table instead of your marginal tax rate. So at retirement, you'll have the option to make a withdrawal subject to the retirement tax table. But if you don't want to use or withdraw your money as a lump sum, you can utilize it to convert it into a monthly annuity where you earn on a monthly basis.
Thank you. The next question is, how does the vested pot grow if the monthly contribution is split between the retirement pot and the savings pot? You made an example about John contributing 4,500 Rand per month, that 2/3 of that amount, 3,000 Rand, goes to the retirement pot, while the 1/3, 1,500 Rand, goes to the savings pot.
So that question is again very similar to the default investment strategy that will be put in place by either your financial advisor or your retirement fund administrator. So in the vested pot, no new contributions will be going in there. However, the monies sitting there will continue to be invested in the stock market. Okay, and going forward, your John's 1,005 and the 3,000 Rand will accumulate and also earn interest and investment growth depending on how the money is also invested in the stock market.
Okay, Colleagues, these are the last two questions I'll take because we have to wrap up the session now. Will the current financial institutions like Sanlam and Old Mutual still be fund administrators of your money, or will this be moving to a common fund?
Not at all. So wherever your investment is being housed is where two-pot will be implemented. So they will continue to be your fund administrator. So there is no common fund put in place. You'll still be administered with whoever you are currently with at the moment.
Okay, and then the last question is, please define the pension fund versus the provident fund.
Okay. So I can explain the difference based on the rules. So a pension fund and a provident fund are employer-provided retirement vehicles to save for your investment. So, for example, I, for one, may not belong to an employer pension or provident fund, so I will use a retirement annuity to save for my own retirement. However, you sitting in the room may belong to an employer fund. So that comes in the form of a provident fund or a pension fund. Now, the rules of a pension fund stated that when you go on retirement, whatever you would have accumulated, 1/3 of that benefit you can take in cash, and the remaining 2/3 is what you can use to convert into a monthly pension. Okay. Whereas with a provident fund, before 1st of March 2021, provident fund members, when they went on retirement, they could take 100% of the entire benefit in cash. So they didn't have that 1/3, 2/3 restriction. But a new piece of legislation was then introduced on the 1st of March 2021, stating that all pension fund and provident fund will follow the exact rules. So whatever would have accumulated from the 1st of March 2021 when that new legislation came in, it meant that provident fund members no longer had the option to withdraw 100% of their benefit in cash when they go on retirement. It meant that they too had to be enrolled in a system where they could only access 1/3 of their benefit in cash and the remaining 2/3 to be utilized to buy or fund a monthly pension. So there was a new legislation before two-pot, in fact, that introduced or that aligned provident fund with pension fund, meaning provident fund members could no longer take everything in cash. They would succumb to the rules of 1/3 in cash and 2/3 that remains to be put in an annuity.
Thank you so much, Gia. Colleagues, that brings us to the end of our webinar this morning. Thank you for a very engaging question and answer session. And I would also like to thank our guest speaker, Giabet, for providing us insight and taking away any confusion that we had regarding the two-pot retirement system. Colleagues, before we end the session, please note that the webinar was being recorded and will be up on our PURCO SA website for those who are unable to join us now and those who wish to revisit the presentation afterwards for some insight. Please also do follow us on our social media. We are at PURCO SA on Facebook, X, as well as on LinkedIn. We will also be sharing the link to the recording on our social media. Thank you, colleagues. Until the next one, goodbye.
Thank you, Aya. Thank you, colleagues. Bye-bye.
Bye.